Good evening and welcome everyone. We are starting the session, and I welcome all the participants and eminent speakers to the session. We all know that Swachh Bharat Mission has taken sanitation in India to next level. There are debates about the levels of achievement, but there is no debate about where it has taken India to. So India has been taken to a large, a major kind of achievements in terms of sanitation. The new the Swachh Bharat Mission, now we are in the phase of 2.0, and the scale of Swachh Bharat Mission rural is over 120 million individual and household toilets as well as community toilets. And SBM 2.0 is intending to address, amongst other key issues, the issue of comprehensive liquid waste management, and within that, the fecal sludge management. So in this session, we are going to essentially discuss key issues around fecal sludge management, current need and experience of retrofitting and rural FHM under the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 in rural area, and challenges in planning and implementing retrofitting and rural FHM solutions at district and local area, and also how some states and districts, we have two states, case study is going to come here, are able to identify various challenges on the issue and address them in terms of advancing the FHM agenda, and strategies for averting possibilities of manual interface of sanitation workers and their safety, how to do that in the FHM initiatives, and other challenges of operationalizing rural FHM and potential solutions suggested by expert panelists. So this is how we are going to see the session. So we have a very eminent set of speakers, three bureaucrats, senior administrators at the national government level and at the two state level heads of the Swachh Bharat Mission. And we have Professor Meera Mehta, who is done extensive studies and also technical support to various initiatives related to sanitation academically and also practically. In an open the session, we have none other than who has been with the Swachh Bharat Mission from the very beginning. He started as the joint secretary of the mission, and now he is heading the mission, spearheading the mission as the kind of mission director and additional secretary. And he has seen all the various challenges and tried to address most of the problems at the grassroots level in a large scale. So he could be able to really tell us how the states and districts can take the agenda of fecal sludge management in rural areas. What are the potential problems and solutions? And then Baroka, something important that he's coming from, he has done as Secretary Health, Joint Secretary Health at the national level and Secretary Health at Delhi and various other states. So has seen the health and sanitation linkages in a much better manner. So we will be, the environmental health issues related to sanitation, how to address them through rural FHM is something that we can hear from Mr. Baroka. And we have Mr. Prasanna, he is Secretary of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Department in the Government of Chhattisgarh. And Mr. Prasanna is also interestingly coming from, he has been, after his district postings, he has been into the health department as the mission director of the Rural Health Mission and the Secretary Health, later, into social justice and social welfare and Department of Chhattisgarh, and now into the rural development, which is, holding the Swachh Bharat Mission rural portfolio is led by the department under him. And so we will have some two important pilots done by the government about how they overcome others to have a critical learning about how to take the people. And we have Ms. Nidhi Nivedita. Ms. Nidhi Nivedita has been at the district level spearheading Swachh Bharat Mission and has done close to people kind of work during the first phase of the mission. And now she is at the state level heading the Swachh Bharat mission in Madhya Pradesh with close to 90 lakh households and various districts and block level program. So the Swachh Bharat mission Madhya Pradesh is also running a pilot project in Indore, and also have been promoting district level and panchayat level new pilot program. So we have a lot of experiences that is to come from Ms. Nivedita also, and finally we have Professor Meera Mehta. So both from an academic and technical side, she has been supporting Swachh Bharat mission both urban and rural. The various technical issues related to sanitation. So she has been supporting various countries. So we have Professor Mehta to kind of talk about various technical issues that the FSM can face. So with this set of introductions, I would now request Sri Arun Baroka, who is the IT Secretary of the SBM, to give us the opening remarks, mainly kind of covering the national policies and program priorities and around the liquid waste management and FSM, and also current the progress that has been made by the states in this area and potential for action by districts and state level, essentially to highlight what and states. Yeah.
I hope all the participants are.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So it's a bit challenging to start this meeting on a new platform of learning, but we'll try our best. And I'm really delighted to be part of Charcha being organized on Swachh Bharat mission. So I compliment you people for organizing this timely discussion. 2.0 is in an interesting phase, as you know, that we are focusing on ODF sustainability and SLWM, and about 100,000 villages are reporting works relating to that, and states and UTs have already committed about 200,000 villages to be converted into ODF plus. Even if, let's say, we are not able to achieve the target, even let's say we are able to do about 100,000, that will be a very big achievement. COVID is a big constraint this year. So let me highlight some of the opportunities that we have right now, on which we must work together. I hope I am audible. If I'm not audible, Raman, you can interrupt me anytime. I don't want to. Yeah. So we continue to have the political will, which is very important for any program. Political will starting from honorable PM and the chief ministers of the states. So there is a clinching evidence. Everyone knows that political will is central to achieving results at scale, and we have to replicate what we have done in ODF. So ODF plus also requires the similar kind of political will. The other important issue is public funding. Government had demonstrated its intent by committing a huge financial envelope for 2.0. So investment to the tune of about 1.54 lakh crores has been assured under phase 2 of the program. And we also have enabling provisions in 15th Finance Commission in the form of 30% of the TIDE funds for the sanitation purposes. The other issue is relating to our decentralized elected representatives in the form of experienced panchayats which are there. They have been instrumental in creating ODF India, and they have been provided the requisite resources, or rather we have provided requisite resources to them to undertake local planning, implementation and management of the sanitation program. And we must continue to invest in the capacities of PRIs so that they are able to deliver the mandate of phase 2 with the equal kind of effectiveness and efficiency which they had shown in phase 1. So we all are aware that decentralized planning and implementation is a key. Any investment made on this has already empowered PRIs, and they will give much better dividends to us. So the other related issue is about the partnerships and stakeholders which are there in this program. And the number and the interest of partners have only increased over a period of time. And we need to continue to work together, discuss together, and work in unison to achieve the 2.0 objectives. Together, we can achieve more. I call upon all the development partners to put their plans together and see that we are responsive and effective. By now, we know each other, have worked with each other, and hence we must maximize on the partnerships to best support the SBM implementation. The other related issue is convergence, which becomes very important in phase 2. SBM needs to be implemented in convergence with the rural development and especially urban development. Many of you must be aware that SBM Urban is being launched and we have huge opportunities to converge. We must converge on issues of plastic waste management, fecal sludge management, and many more areas. We need to learn and emulate the models of engaging private sector and innovative financing arrangements and step up the ODF plus implementation. There is complete unison between SBMG and SBM Urban, and many policy and institutional initiatives have been taken which will allow us to work closely. I can go on, but there are few challenges which we need to overcome together. Let me highlight some of them in this charcha. First, making best use of the tide funds for sanitation, which have been provided in 15th Finance Commission. We have huge amount of funds going to all 3 levels of PRIs exclusively for sanitation. We need to come out of working in isolation and in small areas, as we may like or not, target or not, funds are available to all the panchayats. We need to support all the 250,000 panchayats in parallel to plan for effective utilization of tide funds for sanitation. We are working on this, and any suggestions on achieving this would be highly appreciated. The other issue is the other challenges relating to working in the COVID times. It has hit us really very hard and has slowed our work. It is now important that we regain the momentum quickly and get back to mission mode of implementation. We need protocols and health and safety measures in place so that our people do not get affected by COVID while working for sanitation. Several protocols and guidelines have been issued, but any advice on achieving momentum without compromising on the health and safety would be highly appreciated. The other issue is relating to the simplification of technologies and their adoption. You would agree with me that SLWM work is a little more technical than constructing toilets. We need to develop a menu of technical options that makes the work simple, easy to operate and maintain, and easily understood and adopted by people. We have issued technical manuals and toolkits in our effort to simplify technology. Yet you all have field operation experience, and any advice on simplification of technology would be appreciated. Now, coming to one of the important issues, which is sort of a cross-cutting theme, which is it will be required to be attended. It will require to be attended both for urban as well as rural areas. We know that many households have constructed septic tanks, not only in rural areas, but in our urban areas also. Urban mainly that because all the households are having the sewage network. Many have constructed single pits, and they will eventually require evacuation and proper disposal. FSM can provide the answer for that. It will address the big issues of indiscriminate dumping of fecal sludge in nearby nalas, rivers, lakes, seas, and other water bodies, or anywhere in open causing water, air, and soil pollution. Their fecal sludge management is particularly a cost-effective solution, and they are very cheap compared to STPs and associated sewerage network, and provide quick and decentralized solutions. This is a very good answer to the requirements of not only cities but also peri-urban and rural areas. FSM is an integral and central component of Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. We have dedicated budget for undertaking fecal sludge management. Hopefully, SBM Urban 2.0 will also provide that. We have, from our side, issued guiding principles for fecal sludge management in rural areas. We are promoting village level in situ arrangements initially, like retro, which can reduce any requirement of large scale fecal sludge management infrastructure or complicated arrangement required at a higher level of administration. We have made districts in charge of fecal sludge management infrastructure planning, and this shall be done in conjunction with urban development. We have allowed the use of tide funds or sanitation for setting up of FSTPs. We feel that this should be able to address the FSM challenge we have in rural areas. We need to work in clusters for this, and such clusters don't see the rural-urban divide. There is a good opportunity for convergence of rural and urban. Districts have started working in that direction. The opportunities and challenges around the Swachh Bharat mission are unique. By maximizing on the opportunities, we can transform the rural sanitation landscape. We can improve the quality of life of rural people. Our challenges too are daunting. We need to quickly overcome them. I am confident that together we shall maximize on the opportunities, find lasting solutions to challenges, and make an ODF plus India in a very short time. I would look forward to your suggestions on stepping the Swachhata revolution. Thank you, and namaskar to all of you. Over to you, Roman.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arunji, because what you have highlighted, all of them, like they're very measured and very kind of use and identification use of the tide funds. And then you said about amplifying simplifying the technical options. Then you talked about toilet technologies leading to the need of FSM and the need of urban-rural kind of conjunction and cluster approaches that are quite required. So all are very important points for the rural FSM agenda. And I really thank you for highlighting that there are the importance of working together for making the sanitation into a safety and health and safety of people, and the public health agenda also you have highlighted, which is quite important. And with that, I would now go to Mr. Prasanna to talk about how Chhattisgarh has essentially achieved this, the pilot model that they have done in Durg district of Chhattisgarh. What are the key experiences that are coming from these two models, how they operationalize it, and what are the challenges that they face in operationalizing them, and how the state address so that they can have lessons for other states and districts in actually operationalizing and realizing the rural FSM models. I'll have a couple of questions for Bharatnaji Akilivi. I'll have a couple of questions, but I hope you'll be here for some more time. If not, then I'll pick it up now. Otherwise, I can come to you.
For maintaining continuity, I think it would be a good idea to have the questions right now, so that it is there fresh in my mind. If you don't mind, you can have the questions right now itself.
Okay, I will do that then. So one specific question that I wanted to ask you is the financial options that's available. You already told the Rurban initiative for the what you call the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rurban mission is there. How can the districts look at the Rurban mission is a question that I would like to place with you.
Yeah, Urban Mission provides another opportunity for conjoint planning and implementation and maintenance of the fecal sludge management services, and not only FSM services but also plastic waste management. And census towns typically need FSM facilities more than the the remote rural areas where the population will be density will be on the lower side. So I think we are aware that most of the STPs and FSTPs, which are currently they are in close to urban areas, and specifically they are working much below their optimum capacity. They need to be properly used, and with proper kind of linkages, we can make best use of that. And the urban mission provides that opportunity to link the census towns with the city infrastructure. So I think it's a good opportunity. We should be making best use of it. At the district level, we should not only, district collector or district administration has a unique opportunity of integrating all the resources which are at his disposal, urban, rural, whether it is census town or whether it is a scheme of the RD department or MoHUA or of DDWS. So they can work in a holistic manner, integrating all the schemes, all the funds which are there, make best use of them. In fact, we were having a discussion with Telangana in Charcha with the collectors there just now before this session. I was very pleased to note that the collectors there, they are seeing in a holistic manner, both the urban as well as rural, they are working together. So they don't see it in different compartments. So same way, many others are also doing, but we need to have that kind of culture in the country. Over to you, Ramanji.
Thank you. So that was quite useful kind of input. One more, issue that may be very important to hear from you is that how is the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 is looking at the technical and institutional support that is needed for initiatives like FSM and greywater management, the liquid waste management overall. What are the arrangements that is thought at the state level, at the district levels for supporting panchayats on this? And the added question is that do we have any thoughts about a water sanitation utility or a board or an authority or something like that in the future, set up as part of maintaining these benefits of Swachh Bharat Mission?
So, Ramanji, you are already aware that the guidelines for both sanitation and drinking water provide for state level water and sanitation mission, and at the district level also district water and sanitation mission, as well as district water sanitation committees at the district level. And at the village level, we have village level water and sanitation committees, and these are basically giving a joint support to the activities which are being undertaken under this wash sector. So I don't see that we have immediate requirement to create a separate infrastructure for managing the services, because most of the time it is the Panchayati Raj institutions which are taking care of the delivery of the services at the Panchayat level. So I'm not at this stage, I'm not seeing any requirement of a separate utility to be created at the state level. If in future times, if some requirement arises, definitely we can consider. But at this stage, we have very good models of PRIs and self-help groups who are managing even the FSTPs in rural areas. And same way for many different kind of works like community sanitary complexes, SHGs are doing good work there. Even the local shopkeeper is also doing a good work. So at this stage, I don't see, and the existing institutional arrangement is quite sufficient. With respect to technical support, we have created a lot of support material. As you are aware that it is it requires a lot of technical support, and we have issued 5 technical manuals along with toolkits which are available on our website. About 10-15 days back, we had officially released them. They are the open files are also available on our website. They're quite user friendly. Give details of all the verticals, all the activities which can be undertaken with respect to various verticals of solid and liquid waste management. We are also focusing on capacity building, and with the virtual work which is being done and no physical training, the cascade training model is totally gone. So we are training them virtually in large groups, and we are able to reach even to the level of panchayats directly from either from sitting here itself or from the state headquarters. We have been interacting with sarpanches in our Sarpanch Samvad. Every Friday we hold the Samvad, and today we had with the collectors. So last Friday we had with the sarpanches. So we are taking advantage of the technology, and we are directly interacting with them. And the idea is listen to them, convey our message also, and learn from them. It's that kind of with that kind of objective we are interacting with them. So I hope to some extent I am able to answer, Raman, to your query.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. And at this point, looking also at the time, I am now moving to Mr. Prasanna, and I request him to throw light on how Chhattisgarh is doing specifically on the rural FSM initiatives. Over to you, Mr. Prasanna.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, Raman and other colleagues. In Chhattisgarh, thanks to WaterAid, we have established our first rural FSTP in a district called as Durg at Patara village. It has a capacity of 9 KLD per week. And just 3-4 days before, we just started the trial run also. And so far in the last 3 days, we have done desilting of 5 septic tanks so far. So the entire cost of this construction of this plant was around 19 lakh rupees. And Gram Panchayat is the agency, and they will be running this plant. And also based on the experience, so what we are trying to do is that map the bigger Gram Panchayats and the septic tanks that are available, especially in those Gram Panchayat which are near to the urban agglomerate, so that first priority will be to use the facilities that is available in the urban local bodies. Wherever such facilities are not available, we'll try to construct these plants so that unnecessarily construction and duplication of work doesn't happen. And the biggest challenge is going to be the transportation facilities from the septic tanks to these plants, which are established in different locations. We actually plan to map the existing tankers that are available with the urban local bodies and also the private sector, and map them to the different Gram Panchayats. And we don't intend to purchase more such vehicles because the running expenditure will increase. In case there is no transportation facilities available in the vicinity, and if there is a sufficient number of septic tanks that are available in that area, in that case, maybe we will try to use district mineral funds or CSR or other such funds to procure such vehicle. And if not able to do it, then we'll come back to Government of India on how to tackle these issues. Otherwise, we intend to do it with the existing facilities that are available. Once this becomes fully functional, then we intend to do one such plants in all the districts in the state, so that it becomes as a model for the different districts also. And also those Gram Panchayats where we plan to operate this, we'll try to bring all the concerned people like the Sarpanch and few of the Panchas, Sachiv, and also some these people to this plant to have a first-hand idea of how it functions also. And also we'll try to use our Swachhagiris and SSG members also to motivate our people who have the septic tank to use these facilities. One initial hiccup could be the user charges. Right now in Durg area where we are running this plant, the urban local bodies, they charge somewhere around 1,000 rupees if the location is less than 10 kilometers, and around 1,500 rupees if it is more than 10 kilometers. And the private sector, I think it should be somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 rupees. So initially there can be some resistance, but hopefully our Swachhgaris will be able to motivate these people to shed this much amount so that it will be functional. And thanks to the technology that WaterAid has used, I think the recurring expenditure is almost nil. So I think there won't be much issues also in running of these plants. So hopefully this could be a revolutionary change in fecal sludge management in bigger gram panchayats. This is a small note, Mr. Raman. If you want me to dwell on something else also, then I'll chip in.
Yeah, one question, you said about the mindset of the community wherein the Swachhagrahis and the SHGs will work. But is there a requirement, because like in urban areas we have legal provisions for waste management, but in rural areas we yet may not have the specific regulatory arrangements for. So you said that the transportation facility that you are not insisting currently for buying them for all kinds of plants. So that in absence of that transportation facility, there can be a problem of people putting it into fields, open fields, and all that. So what kind of regulation can be useful in this regard?
Since this is a new one, I think resistance initially. And also even the private sector people, if there is no urban facilities nearby, the private sector also, they like to save their fuel charges by trying to dump these things in the nearby area where they're already doing such things. One thing is the persuasion through our Swachhgaris, the gram panchayats, etc. And with respect to the regulatory aspect of it, I think there is right now nothing like putting some fines or taking some actions on these such institutions, but maybe a few months down the line, when things are stabilized and such facilities are available, then we may think of some regulatory aspects. But initially, instead of using regulatory powers, we will try to persuade people to use this and shift to these type of facilities.
Thanks a lot. I'll come back with a couple of questions, once we complete all the, panel presentations. Now, I would like to request Ms. Nidhi Nivedita. In Madhya Pradesh also, there is a lot of, enthusiasm that is happening at the rural level. A couple of districts, coming up, for rural fecal sludge management initiatives, and Indore being, taken as a pilot. So from Indore, what all are the key challenges and learnings for solutions that Madhya Pradesh is offering to the country? Ms. Nidhi Nivedita, over to you. If you are on mute, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Raman, and good evening to everyone. In Madhya Pradesh, the strategy that we are adopting for fecal sludge management, for that we need to understand first of all the geographical setup of the state, at the same time also the kind of toilets that have been constructed in the state. So a quick look at the figures basically state that we have constructed around 1 crore, we have 1 crore households in the state, and accordingly we have constructed around 1 crore toilets in the state as well. So around 75 lakhs of the toilets have been constructed after 2012, and around 25 lakh toilets were constructed beforehand. So if we also take a closer look at the technology or the technique adopted in building these toilets, so around 33 lakh toilets are twin pit toilets, and rest around 66 lakh toilets, of which some close to 27 lakhs are tanks, and rest are single pit toilets. So and also because Madhya Pradesh is a state where the population density is quite less, and people are usually spread out. So the space scarcity is usually not the norm in Madhya Pradesh. So the twin pit toilet system is what basically should have been built in the first place. However, despite that, there exists a gap, and because the best technology for fecal sludge management, I think, in the rural areas is also to have a twin pit system, so that we are going for a nature based management of the fecal sludge rather than developing a mechanical structure and a plant where it is basically processed. So the selection of the fecal sludge treatment plants should not be a norm, rather an exception, and should be done only in places where it is really required, or where the rural areas have turned into more urbanized segments, and where the option also of co-treatment with Nagar Nigam plants is not available. So accordingly, in Madhya Pradesh, we have taken this vision of converting all these 64 lakh various kinds of single pit and the tank style toilets into twin pit toilets. It is a huge gap, or a big target that we need to achieve in retrofitting, but that is how we are going to go ahead with. And at the same time, wherever required and wherever the population, we have also developed some kind of agreements with the 16 Nagar Nigams that exist in the state, so that co-treatment option is fully explored. Within a distance of around 10 kilometers, the rural areas have been mapped with the Nagar Nigams. And now looking at the however the requirements of the state, there are few FSTPs also that will be constructing, of which one has been developed or established with the help of WaterAid in Kali Villod in Indore. And there the plant has a capacity of 3 KLD, and a rapid assessment of the plant was done in June 2019. A baseline survey was conducted last year again in 2019 as well. The land allocation and technical assessment was also completed. Then MOU was signed. Process designing and DPR were developed in last year in the month of January, and then construction phase has started in the month of May, and now finally the plant is commissioned and is ready for inauguration and taking its first set of fecal sludge to be treated. So this is one FSTP, and probably it is, as Chhattisgarh also shared, this is probably one of the few rural FSTPs that would be that has been established, and we are thankful to WaterAid for the same. However, I reiterate yet again that in Madhya Pradesh we are basically focusing on the twin pit conversion of all the toilets into twin pit system, so that a nature-based management of fecal sludge can be done. That is all from my side. Over to you, Raman.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nivedita. One, important noting that I've been making is that you have in Madhya Pradesh taken a full assessment post SBM to understand what all are the key things that the state has to undertake, including the toilet technology level assessment, wherein you know that 66 lakh toilets are there, wherein some kind of retrofitting is required, and wherever that is not possible, that is where we are thinking that in situ kind of solutions are not possible, and we may have to go for fecal sludge management plans. So this is something quite unique, because you could look at 83 lakhs of toilets surveyed through the Swachhagrahis, and they have brought in a lot of insights for future planning for Madhya Pradesh. So that is quite important. Related aspect that here is the difficulty that we have faced in terms of participation, in terms of regular desludging or any of those areas.
Raman, I think your voice was breaking.
Yeah, I was asking, is there any specific challenges that you want to highlight about setting up and operationalizing these plants, and how the district and state SBM would have looked at it?
Yeah, so there definitely exists a number of challenges. See, first of all, there is an idea of that the tank is a better model than the twin pit model. This kind of idea exists in the mindset of people. They think that probably richer people have tanks and the poorer people have pits. So this is one behavior change communication that we would need to work on. Another thing is also the IC activities will go along with that. The second part is also the people have to be convinced to convert their sometimes dismantle the existing tank to convert into twin pit, and at the same time the financial challenges of who will bear the cost. So we will try to have a convergence with NREGA and 15th Finance Commission to meet out this target of converting them or retrofitting. At the same time, SBM funds also we would explore how it can be used for converting into twin pits.
You are on mute, Raman.
I'm sorry. Now I'm moving over to Professor Meera Mehta. And Professor Mehta, you have been from CEPT University supporting the Maharashtra state extensively for their kind of the second level of issues in the sanitation initiatives. So, what are the key experiences from the urban FSM in Maharashtra that you can offer to the rural FSM of other states? So that is something, there are a lot of learnings that you have documented for rural FSM from the urban experiences as well. And how can we, FSM, safe FSM can be planned for the full sanitation service chain, starting from desludging, treatment, reusing, including the mechanization and safety of the sanitation workers. That's a full, level of things that we need to think about. Can you please throw light on, because two of the pioneers, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh state leaders are sitting here also. They will also be benefiting from the kind of things that you would have done in Madhya Pradesh, and other listeners would also be benefiting about how this entire value chain of FSM we can look at in a rural ecosystem. Over to you, Professor Mehta.
Thank you, Raman. I will, as Raman said, we have been engaged with the government of Maharashtra in supporting their efforts in urban areas for urban sanitation, and particularly last 2 years focusing on FSSM in urban areas. About lessons for MP and Chhattisgarh, I hope there will be, but Chhattisgarh actually is the leading state in Swachh Sarvekshan and so on. So I think the lessons could be both ways. I don't think it is one way. I just want to highlight that Mr. Barokha also talked about looking at ODF plus as the focus. ODF plus will mean that you need to sort of address the issues of the entire service chain. And it's also part of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG 6.2 as it is called, which talks of safely managed sanitation, and to which India is also a signatory. So I think from that perspective, the new focus within SPM 2.0 in both urban and rural to address these issues is very much welcome. And obviously there are health and environmental benefits that are likely to accrue. Just to very quickly to talk about the Maharashtra urban sanitation experience. Maharashtra became ODF quite early in urban in 2017. And at that stage itself, when the president in fact visited Maharashtra and an event where Maharashtra was declared ODF in urban areas, the chief minister at that time put out a sustainability charter, and which actually had, amongst many other things, talked of FSSM also, and that you need to ensure services, but you also need to ensure sustainability of these approaches. So as far as the FSSM efforts in Maharashtra are concerned, there are two aspects that I want to talk about. The first is what everybody has been talking about, is the fecal sludge treatment facilities and what can be done about it. But I also want to talk about later about what we refer in Maharashtra as scheduled desludging efforts. Because if you see the guidelines of SPM2, both urban and rural, there is talk about regular desludging of tanks, septic tanks, and even single pit toilets. But this does not happen often, and everybody did make a reference to very high prices and so on. So I will talk a bit about our efforts towards this. So first, on fecal sludge treatment facility, Government of Maharashtra early on took a call to distinguish between possibilities of co-treatment and where those urban areas where new FSTPs will be needed. So about 70, Maharashtra is one state where there are a lot of functioning sewage treatment plants already. So about 70 local governments in Maharashtra could actually do co-treatment at the functioning STPs. And this actually puts a lot of covers a lot of issues related to having to build a new facility and its operation and so on. The issue, of course, is the distance to this facility. In the government regulator that was issued, the distance mentioned were 20 kilometers, and we found that many are able to do, but some ULBs in fact find it difficult to cover the 20 kilometers, and it becomes not very cost effective. So these are issues that will need to be. Since rural SBM rural is talking about a district approach, and our take on this is that I think the assessment has to be done at the state level in terms of existing STPs and FSTPs, and then look at because if you take a district approach, then you may find that an STP which is just outside the district but is able to cater to many villages will not really be taken into consideration. So I think that little bit of rethinking is necessary. I think one of the states did talk about this, and that I think emphasis is needed. We did some simple analysis for Maharashtra and found that about 80% of population or households in census towns and what are known as the large dense villages, LDVs, which are the ones which essentially have septic tanks or single pits, one would be able to cover them with existing STPs or FSTPs. So I think that kind of state level analysis is something that would be needed before you come down to the district level approach that is talked about. But at district level, there could be such approaches possible. Odisha, for example, has had taken this approach in one of the districts, and then Canal, which is the urban area where urban FSTP has been constructed, and a district-wide arrangement has been done. Tamil Nadu has also been experimenting with this kind of cluster approaches, and this is something that needs to be looked at properly. Where you need FSTPs, how do you do that properly, but also at a faster speed? And Maharashtra took a approach where Maharashtra identified some 3 to 4 technologies to start with. These were vetted by NEERI, which is a national institution, and then also a state institution, the Maharashtra Jal Pradhikaran, MJP. And out of that, a particular technology was selected, the simple one, STB and so on. And Maharashtra decided that all local, small local governments that don't have STPs currently or FSTP will actually build their own FSTPs and using this technology. Single window clearance was used at the state level. This is very important because if each local government has to issue an RFP and go through the technical approval process, it could be quite an endless process. And because government had allowed the local governments to use their, at that time, 14 Finance Commission funds, so an administrative approval was so what is known as the TS and AS were given at the state level. This led to a widespread widespread construction activity by local governments. And despite the pandemic, which is the time when all this happened, somewhere around 170 FSTPs have already been built. and most of them are also operational, and a few that are at the final stages of operation. Those that have not been able to build are only because of land issues, and especially the smaller Nagar Panchayats. And this is something that rural areas are also likely to face, that land availability may be an issue. Most of the FSTPs that have been built on the solid waste management, disposal, and treatment facility sites, and therefore it became very easy to take on this, and that's the reason why Maharashtra has achieved such a large scale effort in a very short time, and along with COVID, where obviously Maharashtra was one of the worst affected. So this is as far as the FSTP and the treatment side is considered. You have to use very simple technology, relatively cost effective, take a statewide approach in terms of single window clearance, and take the necessary technical approval from the technical agencies and give administrative approval and so on. And given the fact that the SBM rural is far more well endowed for such activities for FSSM, and as Mr. Baroka said, the 15 Finance Commission funds are also available, I don't think finances is likely to be an issue at all. So this could be the approach taken. The district government certainly will play a role in this, but I think a state level role will be very, very critical in ensuring that you achieve both co-treatment where needed, where possible, and a single window clearance. Let me just give you a little bit. Everybody talked of that there is need for regular desludging, but this doesn't happen, as we know. And not only that, everybody also said that the prices are very high, and that is like a deterrent, and that, oh, we'll use IEC to convince households. We have taken a different approach in 2 cities in Maharashtra, and this is for the first time in India that this approach has been taken up, what is referred to as scheduled desludging. This is being done through a PPP model, where a private sector provider has been selected through a tendering process, and the private sector provider has brought their own trucks and they provide this service. Scheduled because over a 3-year period, each and every septic tank in the town will be covered. That is the idea. So every household or every property, actually, it's not even only household. So commercial or other properties, public properties, they all will be covered through this effort. This is in 2 cities, one city called Vai, where in fact it is nearing completion of almost 3 years. And despite the COVID effect, despite the pandemic, they've achieved something like 90% coverage. So this is something that is, it is also linked to, provision of this service through taxes and not through user charges. And that is the major reason why all households have actually readily agreed to have their tanks emptied. The service is provided as a public service. This is very important. So it's a public service provided by the local government, but provided through a PPP arrangement. So the actual operations is through a private sector entity doing this. In future, we are now exploring in other cities. There's one other city which is already doing, and state government is considering taking this to many more cities. We are also exploring the possibilities of engaging self-help groups in this activity, because there are some cities where this is very much possible. There are considerable environmental benefits of this kind of regular desludging that is possible to do. And it's very important to recognize that this scheduled desludging is maybe the only way that you can actually achieve regular desludging. You also can achieve not falling back into OD trap, the open defecation trap. Because quite often our surveys, we found that many households were reluctant to use the toilet, even if they had, because they were scared that their tank will get full and they will have to incur very high expenses. So there are widespread benefits, not falling back. So ODF sustainability, which Mr. Baroka actually referred to earlier, that becomes possible. Environmental benefits in why we find that the quality of treatment in the septic tanks has improved drastically, as evident from water quality monitoring in the drains, in wells, and in the river. So these are the benefits that are likely to be possible. So let me stop here. Just to sum up, there are possibilities of linking with urban that needs to be looked at. Look at state level to start with, and then come to district level, the kind of canal approach or what is being tried in Tamil Nadu, that should be explored for sure. And also explore the possibility of scheduled desludging, which can be done either by the local government itself or by in the rural case, it is possible to do an integrated model by having local government, the urban local government, and a few rural local governments also included. For example, in Maharashtra, we find that out of total 300, 170 local governments already provide desludging services in the surrounding rural areas. But again, charges are high because it is following the user charge model. So we need to move to scheduled desludging as a public service type of model, and this is very much doable. Ministry MoHUA has actually argued or accepted the scheduled desludging as an approach to be taken up also. So let me stop here, but these are the lessons that are there from urban for the rural sanitation also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Professor Meera, for bringing these issues, especially the public service model that you are talking about has a lot of. I have some supplementary questions to you on what you made as a presentation before I go into the discussion part of it. One is, you said that PPP model, supported by the local government as this thing. Are you seeing the possibility of, organizing sanitation workers like the Odisha and some other states are doing, and they are owning up these kinds of desludging services and running them as an entrepreneurship? Is there a possibility of empowering the sanitation workers as owners of such activities?
Yes, absolutely. I forgot actually to mention about the path-breaking, I think, effort of government of Odisha. You might have heard of the Garima scheme that they have done, and that I think they've done massive efforts in terms of not only documenting all the sanitation workers, both contracted and casual, but also trying to converge all the schemes that are available and the funding that is available. They've done classification of sanitation work as hazardous work, and therefore the kind of pay that is available for sanitation workers also increases dramatically. So these are efforts that are extremely important and certainly need to be emulated by other state governments also. And I think Odisha is certainly leading the way in terms of the efforts of sanitation workers. I also I forgot to mention that the scheduled desludging, the other advantage is that the reason why manual labor becomes necessary in emptying of septic tanks is that because we don't empty the septic tanks regularly, the sludge actually hardens at the bottom. And no matter what kind of equipment you use, it's very, very difficult to empty the septic tanks properly. And therefore, often, even when the trucks are available, manual labor is called upon to remove the very hardened sludge. The advantage of scheduled desludging will be that this kind of hardening of very hard sludge will not happen, and therefore the need for manual labor will also go down over a period of time. But till all that starts to happen, certainly efforts on sanitation workers and Garima, as the Odisha scheme is called, and I think it's very nicely named scheme in terms of bringing dignity to sanitation workers. And I think the pandemic has really shown us that how the sanitation workers are equally our frontline workers, and that is something that recognition is more and more now, and therefore it it is absolutely essential too. So these are efforts that are needed. I think in terms of self-help groups taking up these activities, or in one of the smaller cities where we are working, Satara, there is a trade union of what they themselves call them the Kachra collection entity, but they want to take up this, and we are actually doing capacity building. But I think a lot of effort will be needed in terms of building capacity of self-help groups and within quotes entrepreneurs. That is the difference here. Often they are not geared up to do that, and unless you build their capacity to do that, it will be difficult to make that up. So I think those efforts will be certainly needed.
Yeah.
One issue that is often also faced is that the local governments don't make the payments, what we refer to as the delayed payments issues, and that is something that you also have to be addressed.
Yeah, so that is one important point that you brought up at the end, because the local governments, not necessarily intentionally, but also because of sometimes their staff shortage and various other issues also leading to such kind of delay. So we need to equally focus on. In the previous session also this has come up. So all states where these kinds of initiatives are being taken up, we need to really think about strengthening the systems of local government so that the financing payments are done respectfully in time. So then only, the kind of arrangements that we are talking about, whether it is of PPP, whether it is of contracted work, whatever, unless, you respect the service providers and, pay them in time and have institutional arrangements for running the payment and finance management in a proper fashion, we cannot actually achieve this. So I am sure that states and districts will take note of this. Now I am going into the discussion mode. I request Mr. Prasanna and Ms. Nidhi to put on the camera and come to a group discussion mode. And also I request the audience to come up with any questions that they have to all the three panelists. And also their kind of thoughts for any reflection by the panelists. I welcome both questions and reflections from the audience if they are. So I have some specific, questions that is coming to, Mr. Prasanna. One very important thing that I have noted was this in Pathora. What we have done is an amalgamation of rural and urban model. All, so three of us, four of us have talked about, Mr. Baroka, Professor Mehta, and you, all of you talked about. So the urban municipality or the municipal council, whatever you call, of Pathora and the rural panchayats around it, together with running this model. So this is probably also the large dense villages issue was highlighted by Professor Mehta. So around this, the model that is coming up is the separation of rural and urban for the purpose of environmental health and sanitation will be blurred in the coming days as far as I understand. So in that process, how come being two departments, this is an interdepartmental convergence case study that is coming up from Chhattisgarh, wherein urban body and the rural bodies together have made the kind of clustering, and both being run by two different departments, you are able to get the results out of them. What are the key things, key ingredients went into this kind of arrangement, Mr. Prasanna?
In government, convergence, especially coordination between two or more departments, is the most biggest challenge. Because it is at the state level difficult for the secretary of one department to talk to the another secretary. But generally at the field level, at the district collectors level, the convergence takes place in a much better fashion. So wherever the collectors or the CEOs, Zilla Parishads are proactive, then in that case, the convergence becomes much more easier, as there is only single head at the district level, and it becomes very easy. So in Durg case also, it was more a local level initiative, because of which it was easy to get it implemented a little faster. But these days, because of financial crunch, every other department, every other scheme actually talks about more of convergence. So at the state level also, now these issues are being taken up at the higher level. The secretaries have both the departments are also discussing, and also wherever there is a difference of opinion or where chief secretary's intervention is required, so we are taking at that higher level. But fortunately, right now, the Secretary of Urban Development is my batchmate, and she is from my home district. So it is just through the WhatsApp messages things get done very easily. But some systematic interventions has to be done for it become successful and also sustainable, because in government things should not be person centric, but rather it should be system centric. But since Panchayat and Rural Development Department, especially in the context of Chhattisgarh, which has a very low density of population, there are very few Gram Panchayats where the population is more than 5,000, and also the number of septic tanks is also very less. If we try to be independent, then I don't think this will take it off, and it will become a failure after a few pilot interventions. So we have to be piggy bank on the Urban Development Department, because Chhattisgarh has almost 168 odd urban local bodies, and they have much better facilities in fecal sludge management when compared to Panchayat Raj Department. And also, since these are all taxpayers' money, instead of duplication in the purchase of these tanks, it is better, because even urban local bodies per se also, they don't get so much of volume. So they also need more septic tanks, so that economic viability is there, even both for the urban local bodies or for the private sector also. So it makes economic sense rather than common sense also, that if both these departments and also the private players, they are all come together, then it is mutually beneficial for all the three stakeholders. So I think over a period of time, since it makes an economic sense for Urban Development Department and also Rural Development Department, convergence will be much better. And also, as long as the focus is on ODF plus, Chhattisgarh had a very good ODF also, and lots of community participation and also involvement of every layer of the administration was involved. And if you are able to replicate the same thing and better participation from the district administration, I think convergence will be much more better, and we'll be able to do much little better.
Thanks a lot for that, because this is one of the things that you told is very important for me, because the government programs specifically on this large scale need to be run based on systems rather than the individual kind of thing. So that is one underlying kind of point. So for that, we need to develop systems for, of course, in Chhattisgarh, as you rightly said, the requirement of FSM will be there, but they may not be, deep enough to set up a plan yourself. So how to club the rural-urban requirements together and to, pool or tap on the urban development department's strengths. I think these two things are quite important. But one specific aspect I wanted to little more light from you is that since at the district level, as you rightly said, a collector can manage things probably easily. But when it comes to a municipal commissioner who is supposed to be a very high order officer, and the Gram Panchayat secretaries are not positioned that level to the municipal commissioners. So what kind of facilitation would be required for making the urban facilities and the infrastructure actually supporting the rural officials and making them one-to-one discussion with the commissioners and or the municipal secretaries, whosoever, and then get the rural-urban kind of requirements met. How can we do that?
Since these plans are not going to be in large numbers, at least in the case of Chhattisgarh, so wherever the plans are being proposed, so for better coordinations, since whenever our local Swachh Bharat Mission team members raise this issue to the CEO Zilla Panchayat, and generally the CEO Zilla Panchayat in Chhattisgarh are senior or batchmates of their counterparts in urban local bodies, and mostly only there are very few 2 or 3 urban local bodies where they might be their batchmates, or otherwise the rest of all the urban local bodies will be juniors to the CEO Zilla Parishad. So the CEO Zilla Parishad will be in a much better position to coordinate with the urban local bodies. And also, fortunately, Chhattisgarh has a very better Swachh Bharat mission team members also, who at their own level itself, they take up with the urban local bodies and they are able to get their things done. So I don't think at the district level there should be any problem in coordination. And our CEO Zilla Panchayat and SBM team can very well take this issue with the urban local bodies.
And that helps because of the upper level of interventions can address the power differences to get the rural bodies benefits from the urban strength is a very important way to go forward. And I'm going to Ms. Nidhi Nivedita now, and the panchayat level, at one point that Professor Mehta had been pointing was that at the panchayat level, one of the issues, of course, you said that your priority will be to retrofit maximum toilets, but in few cases you will have to go for FSM arrangement, FSTP arrangements. So in those cases, the payments to the parties by the panchayats and the strength of the panchayats are going to be quite important. So how are you looking at empowering and strengthening the panchayat institutional infrastructure in order to make the sustainable operations and also the maintenance of the FSTPs, a smooth partnership and movements with the service providers and all. Any thoughts that the Madhya Pradesh is making in this regard, Ms. Nivedita?
The point is absolutely correct. Whatever we have to do in FSTP or elsewhere in any kind of ODF or ODF plus, it is the leadership of Gram Panchayat that is going to deliver results. If you are going to see the places where actually the things are moving, where we are moving towards either the idea of FSM or towards any other concept, it is the leadership of Gram Panchayat, the Sarpanch, the Sachiv, the local populace, who is also a community leadership that is developed in those areas, that we are able to do. And particularly so in the second phase of ODF plus, where the concept has changed into a convergence model, and where we also have 30% of funds allocated to 15 Finance Commission, that the leadership of Gram Panchayats and the Panchayati Raj institutions is become very, very important. At the same time, it is the basically the Gram Panchayat that becomes ODF plus. It is the Gram Panchayat that basically manages the fecal sludge, etc. So if the Sarpanch and the Sachivs are able to take leadership, is when we will be able to achieve our goals. So with respect to developing the kind of leadership that these Gram Panchayats can give, a segmented schedule of trainings need to be conducted. At the same, not only just the orientation part, but various kinds of activities and campaigns in which the Gram Panchayats and the Sarpanch and the other people, Panchayati Raj institution people, the Janpad Adhyaksh, the Jila Panchayat Adhyaksh, and all the 3 tiers of people who are associated in from their wards, the Panches, the Janpad Sadasyas and the Jila Panchayat Sadasya, they all need to be involved in this entire setup of the ODF plus. It is ultimately the community the community leadership and the Panchayati Raj institutions leadership that will help us in achieving this. So we are going to conduct a set of orientation programs, a set of activities and campaigns in which these leaders can be involved, and at the same time the common people can be involved, and accordingly we'll be able to achieve our aims. Thank you. You are on mute, Raman.
Professor Meera, over to you now. So one issue that I'll come back to both, Ms. Nivedita and Mr. Prasanna. Just I'll be able to do one more round, and there are some questions that have come from audience also, so we'll be able to take that. One point is, regularly coming up is the capacity building. And capacity building, this is not a standard large-scale program that, as far as the FSM is concerned. So this will be need-based, as we have seen, particularly around the large dense villages and census towns, and the amalgamation with urban kind of centers. So what kind of capacity building can we envisage, and what kind of resource base that we can develop across the country for this can be a question that can come up. Do you have any thoughts about this, Professor Mehta?
Thanks, Raman. I just want to highlight we are part of this national, what we refer to as National Fecal Sludge and Septage Management Alliance, NFSSM Alliance. And there are over, I think by now, 35, 37 partners ranging from all over the country, very small institutions to very large institutions. And there is a lot of participation in terms of the lessons, because everybody is engaged in some kind of FSM activities across the country, and the sharing of the kind of experiences that are there is happening within the alliance. Now that is a mode that can actually be developed further in terms of creating these kind of partnerships across within the state to begin with, but also across the states to engage into experience sharing across states. So this is something that's very important. There is, of course, the regular, and I think Mr. Baroka already referred to the manuals and capacity building manuals, etc., the kind of technical manuals that are already available. But I think making them accessible and making them meaningful at the local level is something that is required, and therefore the capacity building. The second thing that we have found in our Maharashtra experience extremely useful is to engage the local governments that are leading these activities themselves into capacity building activities. When a CEO of a local government that has already done some of these activities talks to other CEOs, it is far more effective than an outside consultant or outside faculty member from an academic institution coming and talking about it. So these are modalities that we'll have to think about. And I think, as again Mr. Baroka mentioned, that given the virtual platforms that have now become possible, some side benefits of the pandemic, it becomes much easier to do this kind of capacity buildings on a large scale. Once the pandemic slows down, the other thing that we find extremely effective is visits, cross visits to areas where, or cities or villages where things are working well. I think seeing is really believing, and we've even tried out video backed visits as virtual visits, and these are methods that are extremely useful. So I think technical manuals are already available. They will need to be backed by these kind of more practical lessons that are emerging from the field, and they are emerging all over the place. I mean, all states are doing. Chhattisgarh, Mr. Prasanna was describing. There is so much happening in Chhattisgarh, and cross-learning of this type is probably the best way to go forward, I feel. I think there is enough material already available. I don't think that we need to be creating more and more material, but this kind of learning experiences, capacity building of local governments, as well as elected representatives, is something that is very, very crucial in this effort.
Right.
One thing I do want to, you haven't asked me that, but I find through the entire discussion that I feel that if you look at the service chain, we in the first phase of ODF, we focused on toilet. And in this ODF Plus, we are only focusing too much on the treatment side. And we are missing the middle. We are not talking, I didn't hear anybody really discuss much about or even refer much about what will happen. How will the fecal sludge from the toilet be brought to the treatment facilities in an effective manner, in a cost-effective manner, as a public service, done regularly? Not much discussion. And I think that is a focus that in SDM2, both urban and rural is needed going forward.
that was my next question to you. So I'll go little elaborate on that. So before that, I wanted to ask Mr. Prasanna. Also, he's the secretary of the Department of Panchayati Raj. One of the thing that many panchayats will face is about the whichever panchayat is going to take up the task of fecal sludge management and running the plants or contributing to the plants or whatever is the kind of infrastructural and the kind of limitations. One, how can they contract people? Some of the gram panchayats in our country, although the Panchayat Raj Act has elaborated them as the local government, the delegated powers to them may not be sufficiently, allow them to go into some contracts or, go into tenders. So what are the kind of standard operating procedure that may be required for empowering the, panchayats and to, guide them into doing these kinds of things? And second, related issue is, the kind of strength of current staff strength of the panchayat, wherein one or two panchayats are sometimes even more, are run by, in some cases, one secretary or something like that. So how are we going to strengthen the gram panchayats as the rural governments, which will also look at these issues of environmental health, plan for their local areas, and then start to deliver, to transform that? Since this is an agenda which is quite crucially connected to the panchayat's own strengths, what can be done for this, and what are the crucial challenges that we may face in getting this done? Over to you.
With respect to the ability or capacity of the gram panchayat to enter into a contract or construct such plans, in Chhattisgarh, gram panchayat have been given the powers to do any construction up to 20 lakh rupees. So the pilot plant which was constructed at Durg district, it costed somewhere around 19 lakh rupees, since it is well within their limit. So any gram panchayat, without any tender process or without any administrative red tapeism, they can very well take this up and they'll be able to construct it. And with respect to the maintenance of this plant, since the technology that WaterAid has adopted is almost there is negligible expenditure on maintenance of it. So with their existing capacity and also 15th Finance Commission grants, and Chhattisgarh government also provides a grant called as Moolbooth. All these funds the gram panchayat can use to hire some person who can, because since the volume of transactions per day is not going to be very high, so some person in the gram panchayat along with their existing works, they can also oversee this maintenance also, and also whenever the vehicles comes, the coordination aspect of it can be done, and for that, either from the user charges that the gram panchayat will collect it, they can pay from out of it, or from the grants that the gram panchayat get from the different sources of funds, whether the State Finance Commission grants or the Central Finance Commission grants. With respect to your second question of how to strengthen the institutional capacity of the gram panchayat to do all these functions, yes, that is a big challenge, because right now in our gram panchayat we have only two staffs. One is the Sachiv and another person is the Rojgar Sahayak. The rest of the services that are provided are either temporary or through community participation. Fortunately, because of this ODF and ODF Plus, we have a very good community of Swachhagaris or the women SHGs who are involved in the Swachhata related activities. Maybe we can train one of these Swachhagaris or SHG members who are already into Swachh Bharat Mission activities also to manage these things. But parallelly, the department is also planning to strengthen the capacity of Gram Panchayat by providing additional hands also, because once the Jal Jeevan Mission also becomes fully functional, there will be lots of water schemes that has to be managed. Then the Swachh Bharat Mission things have also to be managed. Everything has to be managed. So we will definitely require more hands at the Gram Panchayat level under the Sarpanch and the Gram Sabhas to manage this thing. That also we are parallelly thinking of it, but that is a little time-taking thing because it involves lots of financial implications. So until that time, maybe with the existing schemes and existing funds, we'll try to use the Swachhagaris and the other people who are involved in Swachh Bharat mission to take care of these activities.
Thank you so much for that point. And now, we are about to reach the end of the session. There are questions, lot of questions in the chat box, as has been told by the co-host to me, but I am unable to see them somehow in my system, so I'm not able to take up. So sorry for this technical glitch to the audiences for their questions, and their Amulya from my team is telling me that there's a lot of questions, but I'm, for some reason in my this thing, it's not showing up. I'm still seeing the questions of the last session, not of this session. So, okay. So right. So interestingly, that question was the next question to from me to Ms. Nidhi. So I'll put it up to her. So this public service, the desledging as a public service, and carrying the fecal sludge from the toilet containment to the treatment facility. This is something that you need to very carefully think about, because every crux of the environmental health management is related to that, as highlighted by Professor Mehta. So this is something we need to see this as a public service, wherein Mr. Prasanna was saying that at this point in Chhattisgarh they are not seeing much requirement, but they can rely on the urban departments to get their services. That may be true for states where there are large number of urban areas connected to the rural areas. That kind of a thing could be done. But are you seeing in Madhya Pradesh the tying up with the private agencies, or having this kind of PPP arrangements, or with the entrepreneurship of workers, those kinds of arrangements for regular desledging arrangement? Ms. Nidhi, over to you. Yeah.
Sir, to answer to the question, as I mentioned that right now one FSTP plant is operational, is commissioned in Indore, and in order to the scheduled FSM is not currently at plan. However, the tie-up is with the FSTP, with the private agencies only, for for the collection of the fecal sludge and to be brought to the FSTP plants.
Raman, for the question whether private agencies will be hired in Chhattisgarh also, since we have around 165 odd urban local bodies, but hardly 20 to 30 urban local bodies will be having such facilities. So we need to tap the strength of the private sector also in this. So we are definitely planning to map all the existing facilities, whether it is government or the private, so that we'll be able to use it efficiently.
And I think for all the various states, it is important to tie up with the livelihood missions in this program, so that the livelihood missions can actually set up these as not necessarily to hold the existing, not necessarily need that kind of numbers. So how the rural and urban livelihood missions can pool into or contribute to this kinds of entrepreneurships can also be a way, I think. And now, we are at the time of closing now. And I would like, all of you, if you have one sentence to close, how would you close this session in terms of, suggesting the other states and districts, how should they go about? If you have one sentence to close, what would be that sentence from your side is the question that I have. Over to Professor Meera.
I don't know. I would suggest that we need to, as I said already, but that we need to focus on the middle of the service chain, And I think what is emerging from these discussions very clearly is that maybe even for desludging activities, and I referred to that earlier, that we need to look at rural and urban in an integrated manner. Because if there is a private sector provider that is brought in, he or she will need a wider sort of canvas. And we find that most urban areas, in fact, have periphery, dense villages or census towns within very short distances. So if we can develop this kind of an integrated contract for scheduled desludging, and we would be happy to share materials on this, whoever is, because we have already developed these kind of materials, and it's something that possibly is the way to go forward. So we don't miss out the middle.
Thanks. Mr. Prasanna?
One-liner and not very good. We'll map the necessities, and wherever there is necessities, we'll make the improvement.
Right. Thank you. And over to you, Ms. Nivedita.
Yeah, so I think my one-liner would be to manage the nature-based manner rather than developing it any mechanical structure where it is not required. The requirement of the FSTP should be adequately assessed before setting it up, because an FSTP again also may lead to a number of other challenges and creation of more number of problems than trying to adopt the nature-based methodology for fecal sludge management. Thank you.
You are on mute, Raman.
My sincere thanks to all of you. We are at the close of the session, and Ms. Nivedita for taking up your time, Mr. Prasanna for being here and seeing it both from the Panchayat Raj lens and also from the SBM lens, and Professor Mehta for bringing in the Maharashtra and overall Odisha and a lot of important lessons here. And Mr. Baroka for coming in and giving the national picture. We have a very good discussion over the last 1.5 hours, and there's a lot of lessons that is coming up. So we will be putting it together. At the if I elaborate on them, the key things that other than what the concluding remarks were, is that one, we need to focus on the large dense villages, census towns, and wherever the FSTPs will be necessary because of the toilet technologies, and we need to go for that. And various bottlenecks that the rural local bodies are facing needs to be looked at. As Meera highlighted, it's very important that the processes, from the toilet containment to the fecal sludge management, whatever requirement, wherever in situ is not possible, we need to actually focus on a public service kind of an arrangement for that. And we need to look at the safety and dignity of the sanitation workers in this process. With this, quick summary of the session, I thank all of you, all the audience, and all the questions that has come up from, and most of them I understand that we have discussed, and some of them probably is missing because this technical issue that came to me. I'm sorry for that, and I once again thank all of you, and have a it's already 6:36, so good evening maybe, or good night, whatever, and see you for the upcoming 3 more sessions on WASH tomorrow. The first session is on WASH in healthcare, hygiene in healthcare facilities and the infection prevention. Second session is around water quality, and the third session is going to be on the small and medium towns, what all are the WASH priorities. I request all of you to be there, and thank you so much. Thanks Ms. Nivedita, Mr. Prasanna, and Professor Mehta, and also Mr. Baroka, who has left already, and all the organizers and my colleagues who supported this. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.